Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I can't remember which day. It's the middle of Ramadan. Let's see, it's May 20, so a little over 2 weeks left to go. I haven't made a vlog in a few days because, to be honest, I don't want to bring people down with me. I'm not. I always felt like mentally breaking down is kind of part of it because it's rebuilding you in a way, breaking you down to your essence. But it's also doing that with me physically right now, so I'm not handling it well. And it's just causing me a lot of problems. So what I want to talk a little bit about, one of the last times I attended a Christian church, after I stopped going after, the reason why was the simplest thing happened. Somebody read a verse from late in the New Testament that was basically implied that if you sin, you could go to heaven, but if you were one of the people who was already destined to go to heaven, you wouldn't actually want to sin. And I don't know why, and a little bit more to it than that, obviously, but I don't know why, but this totally broke me. And this was either I'm not among the chosen, I'm not going to heaven, or this is a bunch of garbage. So the obvious option there is both, either one true, leave this church. Why are you here? Why would you do this? You're either going to hell or there is no hell. There's no in between here, or or this doctrine is wrong. So obviously every answer points at don't come back. So I didn't. And it wasn't that I stopped believing in God. People always have remarked on that. I remember I grew up Mormon, and I know a lot of you have some strange ideas on what Mormon is, but I was very mainstream Mormon, and my family wasn't very religious, but I was trying to be. And after a while, when I was a teenager, I realized that I had problems with the church that could not be resolved, and I stopped coming. And Mormons are very persistent. Once you're in the Book of Mormon, they will find you wherever you are, and they will come after you. And one day, Mormon missionaries showed up at our door. We're in the logbooks as Mormon, of course. And it had been maybe 2 years, I guess, since I attended church last. And the missionaries started to talk to me, and why wouldn't I come back to church? And yes, sometimes we all had crises of believing in God. And I stopped them there. I said, no, this isn't something I have. And they were like, what? No, I absolutely believe in God. Through anything that's happened in my life, I have to say that's one thing. I have an inability to be an atheist. And I can't explain why. It's just in my making. But when the missionaries left an hour or so later, the big thing for them was, wow, we wish we could have your belief and your faith. And I was the one that told them that I wasn't coming back to their church, and they left saying that I had more faith than them. So throughout life, that stuck with me. I did try a phase where I was at least agnostic, and had to quit that because I was afraid God would find out and be mad. So that thought was actually the realization that I could never actually be agnostic. Sometimes I have these little moments, even as a Christian. I had them as a Muslim. I have them sometimes where these if-then moments happen. And if then I can't do this, that kind of thing. And so there was my last blog was actually ranting, and it actually traces back to this, but it was before I got fully wound up within my own head. But somebody innocuously commented in a Muslim group, does anybody actually lose weight during Ramadan? And most people answered like I assumed, haha, yeah, that's a joke. Nobody loses weight during Ramadan. That's not why we fast, blah, blah, blah. But that was a lot of the comments, but a lot of the comments were, yes, of course, how could you not lose weight during Ramadan? I usually lose a few kgs, or I usually, several people said that the people around them all lose 15 to 20 pounds of weight during Ramadan. Now, this isn't a problem. I'm not trying to fast to lose weight. And then a man talked about a hadith, and he talked about how you should be eating lightly only barely enough to survive during Ramadan in some hadiths, and that if you were not losing weight during Ramadan, basically that meant you were double eating at night, and therefore you weren't really fasting, you were just waiting to eat, and it invalidated your fast. Now, you're going to hear that and say, that's the stupid crap I've ever heard, blah, blah, blah. And my reaction at first too, what kind of idiot is this? But it got under my skin, you see? It got under my skin. I don't feel like I'm overeating. I'm definitely not overeating. I'm eating a lot less than I'm eating during the normal time of the year. That it's, when I'm not fasting, but I don't lose weight, never have lost weight. But that's not the problem. The problem is here. If I'm supposed, I don't know how to explain it to make it understandable. In my head, my logic is like, everybody is different and this person doesn't really know what they're talking about, and that's ridiculous. Lots of people don't lose weight during Ramadan. Lots of people backed that same claim up in the same post, and of course those people weren't obsessing about it. But here I was obsessing because there's a point in what he said. A point is, it's not, he's wrong to say it invalidates the fast and that you should be losing weight and blah, blah, blah. But you should be eating less. Okay, that does make sense. You should be, I don't know. His whole argument was that the people who are faithful and doing Ramadan right will lose weight. And I know that that's foolish. I know that that's maybe some people, and maybe some people practice differently than other people. But there was that same little chipping away at my self-esteem, this same little feeling like, okay, it's absurd, but what if you're doing it wrong? What if you're doing it wrong? And that broke me because I'm having a hard time this Ramadan. I'm just having such a hard time. I spend my days hungry and thirsty and choking for water. I have almost no voice. My emotions are crazy. And when I eat and drink, iftar is around 7 here. So when I eat and drink around 7, it's usually between 2 classes at school, first of all. It's between 2 of my teaching classes. So I usually break the fast in the middle of a class. I go over to a corner, give the kids coloring, and I say the prayer quickly and eat 2 dates and a water, and then get out of the class and have 5 minutes to eat. So that's a normal breaking fast for me. But when I do that, or on the days I'm off, when I sit at home and I make food, the problem is about 15 minutes after I stop fasting, I break my fast, I'm sick. I'm horribly sick. I spend most of the rest of the night horribly sick. So all through Ramadan, the only time I feel okay is from about 11 at night to 1 in the morning, and I need that sleep because then I have to wake up again, of course, for my sari and my Fajr prayer at 4 in the morning. So being awake till 1 isn't very productive. But so it's making me kind of a mess, and that's okay. This is my personal struggle. I'm not asking for a way out of it. But I am saying that sometimes what you say online to people, even innocuously, hurts them. Don't ever, maybe you shouldn't make absolutes, everybody loses weight. If you're doing this right, you lose weight. And I'm not blaming him because this is my personality. This is me that's stuck in my own head. But I don't know how many other of you are like that, or like, what if I'm doing this wrong? What if I'm doing this wrong? But that's been my whole journey to Islam, is always I go through this phase when somebody says something's wrong, that's preposterous. But if it's not preposterous, then I can't be a good Muslim. And unfortunately, I have that problem at least every few months. So that's me. So that's also why I'm not on here talking to you guys a lot. But I do, oh my gosh, I do love God, and I do love being a Muslim. And I don't want to upset or worry anybody by making them think it's not worth it, because it all is. Okay? Bye.